how the speech organs work in English. What can you see now is a side view of the parts of the throat, mouth and nose, which are important to recognize for English. As you can see here, we have nasal cavity, alveolar ridge, lips, teeth, larynx, epiglottis, vocal cords, pharynx, tongue, uvula, and palate. These are the organs of speech. In this figure, here we have the parts of the palate, including alveolar ridge, hard palate, and soft palate. Whereas the parts of the tongue consist of tip, blade, front and back. Now, source of power in speech sounds. The basic source of power that pushes air in motion in all speech sounds is the respiratory system, especially the lungs. How it works? The process begins when we inhale air into our lungs. This is known as inhalation or inspiration. The air in our lungs is then pushed out through the vocal tract when we speak. This is known as exhalation or expiration. The pressure created by the exhaled air causes the vocal folds in the larynx to vibrate, producing sound. The sound is then shaped into specific speech sounds by the articulatory actions of the vocal tract, movements of the tongue, lips, and other speech organs. Here are simple tips to illustrate the process. First, we have inhalation. Air is inhaled into the lungs. Exhalation, air is pushed out from the lungs. Vibration, vocal folds vibrate to produce sounds. Articulation, sound is shaped into speech sounds. So, in summary, power to push air in motion in all speech sounds comes from the respiratory system, with the lungs playing a crucial role in the process. Vocal cords. Vocal cords are also called vocal folds. They are two small bands of elastic tissue which can be thought of as two flat strips of rubber. They are lying opposite each other across the air passage. The inner edge of the vocal cords can be moved towards each other so that they cover the top of the windpipe, which can be drawn apart. This is their normal position when we breathe quietly in and out. The space between the vocal cords is called the glottis. States of the glottis. When they are brought together tightly, no air passes through them, and if the lungs are pushing air from below, this air is compressed. If the vocal cords are open suddenly, the compressed air bursts out with a sort of coughing noise. Try this. Open your mouth wide, hold your breath. Imagine you are picking up a heavy weight, holding it for 2 seconds, then dropping it quickly and suddenly let your breath out. The holding back of the compressed air, followed by a sudden release, is called the glottal stop. And here we have a figure about the states of the vocal cords. States of the glottis. If the vocal cords are brought together quite gently, the air from the lungs will be able to force them apart for a moment, but then they will return to the closed position. The vocal cords are drawn apart, that the air can pass out freely between them, and there is no vibration. The result of this state is voiceless sounds. The space behind the tongue and reaching up towards the nasal cavity is called pharynx. What is the importance of the palate? The palate forms the roof of the mouth that separates the mouth cavity from the nose. The parts of the palate, let's start with the first part. The soft palate, which is called also velum, should have holes forming that function during speech sounds to separate the mouth cavity from the nose. The hard palate is a thin, horizontal bony plate of the skull located in the roof of the mouth. The interaction of the sounds between the tongue and the hard palate is essential in the formation of S and D. The alveolar ridge is a hard ridge behind the upper front teeth, that is between the roof of the mouth and the upper teeth. The teeth. The teeth are small white structures found in the jaw. They are responsible for creating sounds such as f, v, etc. While the lips can take different positions. They can be brought firmly together so that they completely block the mouth, as when producing sounds like p, b, and m. The lower lip can be drawn inwards and slightly upwards to touch the upper front teeth, as in the sounds f and v. They can be kept apart, either flat or with different amount of rounding, as in producing different kinds of vowels. The most important organ of speech is called the tongue. Why is the most important organ of speech? Because it has the greatest variety of movement. What are the parts of the tongue? The tip, front, back, and blade. The back of the tongue lies under the soft palate. The front of the tongue lies under the hard palate. The tip and blade of the tongue lie under alveolar ridge. The tip and blade of the tongue are mobile. They can touch the whole of the lips, the teeth, the alveolar ridge, and the palate. The front can be flat on the bottom of the mouth. It can be raised to touch the hard palate. Thank you.